Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Joy Spot. My name is Sherry Elise, also known as America's Joy Magnet, but I don't even really want to talk about me right now because I usually want to talk about me, but right now I'm going to hold off. I am so excited about today's guest. I'm going to gush over her for a minute. She'll be on shortly, so just bear with me because this is really exciting. First, before we do that, let me know if you are here watching live. Where in the world are you zooming in from? We're not zooming, but where are you watching from? Let us know. I'm going to say a quick hello to everybody. Hello. Okay, enough hellos. Hi. Okay, so as I said, my name is Sherry Elise, and the Joy Spot is really an opportunity for me to be able to share with you people who inspire me, who I find pure joy. And today is extra special because this person has a personal meaning in my life for me, and I'm going to talk about her. We're sorry for the late start, but we're gonna go a little bit longer, so don't worry, stay right here. Let me just talk about her. SARK is a best-selling author. She's an artist. She's an inspirationalist and acclaimed teacher and mentor. She has had 18 best-selling books. It could be 19 by now. And her artworks, beginning with her iconic How to Be an Artist poster, has sold millions of copies. For 40 years, SARK has been an inspirational leader and a laser beam of love. She uplifts others through her writing, her art, her mentoring, and she helps them share their unique gifts with the world. She empowers people to make their creative dreams real. I would like to welcome to the Joy Spot, Susan Ariel Rainbow Kennedy, also known as SARK.
Oh, Sherry, you are such a joy beam. Thank you so much.
Yes, of course. Welcome to the show. I know we've got a lot of comments going, and we've got Robert watching. We've got Kimberly watching. We've got my mother here. Hi, Mama.
Sherry's mom.
Sherry's mom. So very exciting. So I just want to share with you, for those who don't know your work, why your work is so important and was so important to me at a pivotal time in my life. I was in my early 20s, and I had experienced, some stuff in the life, and, as so many of us do, and our backgrounds are very similar. And your book, Succulent Wild Woman, which I know just had released its 25th anniversary special. So let's all congratulate you on that. You could show it if you have it there.
I don't. It's here, but it's out of reach.
Okay, well, I've got a little thing there for you. But so this book came into my life at a time because I was first uncovering who I was and learning about myself. And what this book felt like to me was a blossoming, was an opening up, was an unfolding, an unflowering. It gave me permission for everything that was inside that felt boxed in to just be. And I know for so many people that you have been that same person. And I want to say, I told you I was going to gush over you, so just bear with me for one more minute. You're like,
it isn't just gushing, because you're letting people know how it impacted you and how it has or impacted them.
Thank you for that. Yeah, it is important, because I think on the surface, when I was first reading this and people saw it, and let me just show for some the inside of it, it's splattered in rainbows and stars and doodling and all of this. And for some people on the surface, it might have seemed not serious, right? And maybe it wasn't. But for me, and I think for so many of us, what this was for me, it was courageous, and it was bravery, and it was vulnerability, and it was what joy is to me, which is the full expression of ourselves. And so I just want to thank you for being the full expression of yourself for all of us. Okay.
Thank you, Sherry, and for everyone. You know, we are made to be here, to be the fullest expression of ourselves, which includes the crabbiness. I mean, let's just say we were late because of a tech issue, and I flipped out. I had such a crabby episode, and my husband came to help, and my miraculous Meg on my team was there helping. And you know, it's embarrassing. I'm like, well, how come I'm not calm? And you know, oh, I just am here for joy. Let me just say, mindlessly positive people annoy me. You know, we're not here to live a facsimile of our lives. We're here to live with all the feelings in our emotional families, which include the upsets and the despair and the rage and all of that. And that's what I wrote in the book. And somebody put a wonderful quote that I don't remember saying, but they said, your books are serious books in colorful clothing.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because as you know, I do all the topics and all the vulnerabilities, and there's everything from vibrators to despair to what do you do when you're, I mean, it's full of that. And the anniversary edition has 4 brand new chapters where I somehow encapsulated the last 25 years of my life into 4 chapters. I used a time machine. There's also all new art. So the original book is preserved like a time capsule. And then there's these wonderful bookends of 2 chapters at the front and 2 chapters at the back. And they are substantial. Oh. And I did that deliberately so people receiving that would get the full value. And I see that you have it up there. It's so cute.
Yes, it is the 25th. And I love that you personally brought forth about, it is about all of the emotions, and yes, the freaking out. And I'll say, you know, I freak out when there's tech issues too, but I just sat here and I was literally present and just going, feel your butt on the chair, feel it. Because initially I would want to be like, oh my God, right? But I have been that, and it's okay to be that. And that's what I love. And I think what introduced me to that it was okay. And so much of my work, SARK, is based on that it is okay to feel all of our feelings, that we're human, and, you know, where we're spiritual, where we're living, we get to experience the full human spectrum. So I love that.
And I would add, it's not only okay, it's necessary. Because in order to do what I teach, which is blending and alchemizing the terrible and wonderful things into a brand new healing mixture, we have to feel the terrible things. And we have to feel the wonderful things. And we have to find a way for them to be together in our lives. And I'm so always glad to teach and mentor that.
Yeah, and I know we're going to talk about this at the end. So first, stay with us, everybody, because we've got a free gift for you. And then I know we're going to talk about some magical mentoring. But
wait, before we do that, look what I made for you.
Before we do that, what?
Look what I made for you. Wait, where is it?
Let me back up with the camera. Oh my God, that is the best. I think that's the best gift I've ever gotten. I love that so much.
Joy spot, Sherry Elise, and all of her love and all of her joy, and it's bouncing.
Oh, you're the best. Thank you for that. That was super special. I just, you know what, I was gonna wait, and I'm just like, I don't want to wait for this. I want to read just a piece, if I may, out of Succulent Wild Woman, and it's just from. Actually, which one do I want to read? There's like so much. Okay, this is powerful. This is from Juicy Pen's Thirsty Paper, and it just says, "Do you know how interesting, powerful, and unusual you are? Most of us don't. We think we are mostly what we do, and that other people have more interesting lives or stories. I've learned that people don't necessarily recognize the importance and value of their own stories. They dismiss the familiar and forget that everyone's stories have power. We forget that writing can change that." And I want it. Go ahead. No, go.
No, yes, everyone listening, this is you. You are inspiring. We're always trying to put it to someone else. Well, they're inspiring. I heard SARK and she was inspiring. Sherry Elise is inspiring. And we're here to talk to you who are also inspiring.
Yes.
So that is the basis of joy. That is the purpose of everything. And, you know, Succulent Wild Woman says dancing with your wonderful self.
Mm.
And in order to do that, you've got to be willing to feel it all. So I'm so glad you read that from Juicy Pen's Thirsty Paper. What is it? Gifting the world with your words and stories and creating the time and energy to actually do it.
Yes, that was exactly it. I'm like, I have 2 books and I can barely remember the second one's subtitle. So I love that you did that, that you could do that. But so let me ask you this. Well, the reason why I specifically chose that is because that's the message that I think, and as you said, that everybody needs to hear, that we all have it, that we are all creative, that we are all inspiring, that we all have the power. And it's really just about tapping into that and to stop looking elsewhere at what everybody else has, right? And to return back inward and to recognize and acknowledge that. That's what I felt.
Yes. Yes. And to do business with inner critics that speak to us inside of our heads, to have us compare ourselves to others. And by the way, when we compare, we always despair. We find ourselves lacking, or we didn't have enough. And, you know, inner critics aren't bad. They're part of everyone. But they've grown out of proportion to what we need now. And they need care. They need care systems. They need redirection. I always say that if you don't have some kind of system for your inner critics, it's like leaving toddlers in the kitchen with knives. I mean, you would literally never do it.
Yeah. What did you say? What was that line about with despair? And what do you remember?
Oh, compare and despair.
Yeah.
I mean, most people compare and then despair because they, you know, this one is doing this and this one has this and this one. And I mean, we all can fall for that. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but you need to be able to regroup quickly and just say, oh, I realize I want to write a book. I realize I want to have a show. I realize, you know, use that energy.
Well, let's talk about this, because I know, without diving too much into your background, because even though it's important although I do believe that we show up every day as brand new people, that we're given this opportunity. And so our past, you know, creates that. But because I think it's important with the work that you do, that you had a neighbor. Was it
Mr. Boggs?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was the first time you wrote your first book, right?
Yes. That was one of my greatest mentors of my life. I was being abused in my family and I was trying to escape. And I went over to his house. He reminded me of my grandfather. And he called me his twirly friend because I did wheelies on my bike in his driveway. I was about 10 years old. He was 80 years old. And so he invited me in and I ended up becoming best friends with him. And I went to his house every day and he tried to teach me to play chess, but he said I was too wiggly. But we played checkers and we shared stories, and it was the best. Yeah. And then he got really sick. And my mom said, you know, Mr. Boggs is really sick and he's old and he's going in the hospital and he probably won't be coming back. And I said, well, then I need to make something for him every day so he knows how loved he is. And so there I was, and I was making these misshapen. I grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I was making these little packages and sending them off every day for a month. And he did get out. And he said, I think you saved my life. He said, no one else called or wrote while I was in there. And I had to get out to see you. And I ran in the house and said, Mom, I'm supposed to be a beacon of hope and write books for the world. And she said, eat your peanut butter sandwich. But I did write my first book. I was 10 years old and I wrote my first book that summer. And it was called Mice from Mars. And it was a loosely disguised abuse story. And I always like to say the art in it is not that different than the art I do now.
I think what I found so powerful about reading and knowing a bit about your backstory is the fact that it feels like you have that magical girl within you, even then, even with all of that stuff, like that heart, that love, that, yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely. And I want to say that is part of everyone. Whatever has happened to you, you have inside of you the greatest source of unconditional love, which is your intuition. And I call mine my inner wise self. And during all those terrible abuse experiences, I was hearing in my head, you are all right. how could I be all right? But I felt like this voice somehow knew, well, of course it was me. I didn't know at that time, at that age, that that's what this was. And when I was 16 years old, I read Dr. Maya Angelou's book, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. And I went to hear her at the public library, and I somehow had the courage to go up to her. It was so scary, and tell her that I had been abused in my family. I had never told anyone.
Oh, wow.
And she leaned across this wooden table and she took both my hands in hers. And after I finished telling her, she looked deep at me and she said, "You are all right. You are all right." And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what my intuition was saying to me. And so I set about living my life in that way. And I went on to become friends with her and do a television show with her. And she endorsed my books and, helped set me on this fabulous path, which continues to this day. And so, everyone, your intuition is your greatest source of unconditional love, and it's always ready. And I tell people, set a timer for 3 minutes and write what I call an inner wise self-love note, and let your intuition drench you in love.
Ugh.
And it also has answers to all the questions you might be wondering about your life. So it will advise you, time to take a nap, time to lie down, time to call this person. Is it good to eat this or not eat this? I mean, and people know they have this part, but they save it for traumatic experiences, or they don't call on it every day for the ordinary things of life. So
I know, I love the exercises, because you're right. When we're invited to stop and slow down and connect, I mean, that's, as you know, and you're saying your intuition, like that's where the beauty and the magic and all of it really exists, is in this moment, is in that slowing down, is in the drenching of love. And I'm curious for you, if you have any, well, I'm sure you do, but any daily practices for yourself that keep you in that space?
Absolutely. And I think it's not so much they keep me there, but they allow me to be there. So I go in and out, and it's definitely a practice. I talk about this. Actually, I outline, there's 3 miracle methods that I teach, and I outline how to do them in the anniversary edition of Succulent Wild Woman. So you've heard them already. Intuition, connected and empowered. Oh, you actually haven't heard the second one, which is an inner feelings care system. So you need to be tending to your feelings with love and letting them express. And then the third is having an inner critic care system. So you're redirecting critical dialogue that you hear inside of your head and changing it to more nourishing communications. And when people have those 3, and they're creative, they are living their dream lives. That's the life I'm living. And again, it requires practice.
Yeah.
It requires application and practice. And it requires having episodes, like not doing well and getting crabby, and then regrouping and re-regulating the nervous system, and being able to appear and say, here I am in all of my marvelous, splendid imperfections and perfections.
And you keep mentioning about, being able to accept. It sounds like acceptance of all aspects of ourselves, right? But I wonder about the focus, right? So it's acknowledging those aspects of ourselves, but being able to, I don't know if it's redirect. How would do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. We all have feelings. We all have so many feelings, and they just need some love and attention, and they actually don't need much. And we fear that they need everything. So we try to repress, avoid, deny, hide, sedate with food, anesthetize with alcohol or whatever, or exercise, or just to keep them down. I mean, and we try to, there's disowned feelings. Like it's never convenient. We never want to, I'm feeling despair. Let me just contact despair and put my focus there. We're despair. But as you practice any feelings care system, you will be able to be more skillful, and you will be able to offer love to that feeling. Yeah. And so a 5-second way of doing it for everyone, as soon as you become aware of any feeling that's so-called negative, which there are no negative feelings, but that's difficult, you simply say its name out loud. So I'll just choose anger. anger comes up and you just say under your breath or out loud, anger, I see you, I hear you, I acknowledge you. This allows anger to soften and change shape and be able to receive your love, and also know that somebody's listening, somebody's in charge, and it's not them.
I love that. Yeah, that's it. That's so powerful, because I believe that if we, like you said, if we continue to repress and push down that stuff or try to ignore and avoid, like, it's gonna keep coming back. It's like still tapping you on the shoulder.
Well, not only that, it becomes back louder and larger. So this is why people wake up at 3 a.m. sobbing, or, have divorces because they can't figure out how to communicate, or,
Right.
or get help to communicate. Sometimes divorce is a good thing, but, it always, I think, probably when people move on with pure hearts, but the work has to be done. And this is, I call them miracle methods because they create miracles. And, I mentor people all over, and people still resist doing the work, which includes, feeling your feelings, redirecting inner critics. Someone asked me to repeat these. The three miracle methods are inner wise self, inner feelings care, and inner critic care. So those are powerful, profound, life-changing methods. So
let's get real. Let's talk about being real, because I know that you have you emphasize, especially a lot in your work right now, about getting real, and what does real life really mean to you? Is it everything that you mentioned about all of the feelings, all of that? I know you call it the marvelous messy middle, which I love.
Yes. I mean, it's so tempting to think that there's some system or method where we don't have to feel bad. I just want to learn how to make more money. I just want to, have new love, but not really change. I just want to be healthier, but not actually do anything about it. I mean, I used to dream that I would just wake up speaking French. I didn't want to actually have to learn French.
Right.
When I talk about, because I mentor people in living more of their dream lives. And what I mean by that is what's real is what's actual in your life. So we have illnesses, people die, there is lack of money, there are fears, there are resistances. You've got to be willing, I call it the land of no. You've got to be willing to visit the land of no, but you're not meant to live there.
Right.
So there's a wonderful place called the world of yes. That's where you're meant to live and practice, which again doesn't mean bypassing your feelings or trying to leave them behind. In fact, it's literally the opposite. The more skilled you become at this, the more you can alchemize and blend and become that whole integrated person who's living their dream life regardless of circumstances. And you probably know from reading my books, but I lived outside the money system for 10 years. And I lived on barter and trade. And I learned how to ask for and receive miracles. And I teach that today because people don't know this.
Yeah.
And so it's one of my favorite things is mentoring people.
Yes. And I know that you just opened up the doors to, yay, for people to be able to work one-on-one with you. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I have a small private practice of mentoring, magical mentoring. And of course, it's magical. And it includes coming to San Francisco and having a dream day with me, which is a customized, immersive, it's a quantum experience. And my dear husband, David, is part of it for some segments. He's just an absolute, of course, he's my husband, so I'm going to say this, but he's an intuitive genius, and he is he's got so much love and so much experience. He was a Hollywood film producer for 30 years.
Okay.
So a ton of credentials and experience, but love is the main thing. So I bring him in for special segments. But yeah, I opened it, and it will fill, of course. And this is actually the last year I will be offering it in this form. So it is, and I always like to tell people this, of course, isn't an offer for everyone. It's a significant investment, and the results are significant too. And so there are flexible payment plans, and, we've put together a wonderful invitation, of course. And it's just, there's so much goodness, and I'm so glad. This is my sole fabulous focus for 2023, is helping people to live more of their actual dream lives.
Well, it's interesting because you say the word quantum and that lights me up, and you talk about living your dream life. And I'm like, and immediately I go, what if we already are living our dream life and we're simply just not aware of that? And so,
Yes, very well said. Yes, I think that's a good, and that, thank you for bringing that up, because most people are living lots of their dream life.
mhm.
As you said earlier, they're not putting the focus in the right places. So we turn some dials and pull some levers, and it's incredible what people do. I mean, I've been doing this for almost 10 years
Yeah.
and watching the results. I mean, people are writing and finishing their books. They're starting businesses. They're getting
Mhm.
healthier. They're finding new love. I mean, you
I do know. I've been doing quantum work recently, and it's like, I
yeah.
mean, here, I'll just say, I'm just going to say, here you are, and this on my show. So I'm just saying. So people to be able to work with you and bits of your husband, I really encourage. I haven't even worked with you personally, but I know just you could feel that. So I really encourage everybody to do that. And I know that today, just being here, that you're giving a gift away. I'm going to put it here.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yes.
And I know you'll share the link with people, but there's the short application process, of course. I want to read it and see if we're a magical match.
Yes.
So, and if we're not, you'll receive a lovely thank you and a gift. And so the whole experience is a wonderful, a wonderful thing.
Yeah, and I will definitely put mentoring in the comments, and I will make sure that you get a link. I also created this, a free gift that everybody
Oh,
gets.
that's so nice.
You.
You are the premier sharer. It just has to be said. I
Well,
mean,
it's
yeah, I'm gonna
magical.
put on my joy glasses now. You told me to have my joy glasses,
Oh my God. We are
and so
just
I had to make these for you.
I love them. We're just gifting each other with stuff here. So, if anyone wants to ask Sark a question, I asked her. We're already running a few minutes, but I already asked her if we can go a little bit longer. I love those glasses. So go ahead. You're going to say
No,
something.
I'm trying to see if I still can see you. It's very humorous. I'm like looking through joy.
Looking through joy. Well, we are joy, so we're always looking through the eyes of
Yes,
joy. Yes.
yes.
So let me ask you this. What would you say to someone who may be holding themselves back right now on their dreams? They don't think that they can do it. They don't think that but they know it. They've been gifted with that inspiration.
Oh, good. I'm so glad you asked that,
Mhm.
because it could sound, I'm just realizing this, it could sound like she wrote her first book and then she just blasted out of a rocket and then she became this best-selling author. And oh no,
Mhm.
I was procrastinating for 25 years. So I did not write another book until 25 years after that first one. And that was because of fear and resistance. And so once again, we need to feel and experience our fear and resistance, but we cannot let it stop us. Or if it stops us, we become aware, recognize it, and let ourselves free. Like, okay, I'm just having fear and resistance. Okay, I recognize it. Here it is.
Yes.
And let yourself move. And I teach so many things, and it's all in the dream life whole package, but I teach a micro movement miracle method to get people moving and keep going. And so I just encourage everyone to start again, to ask for more help, ask your intuition for help. Just say, what do I do now? I'm stuck again. What do I do now? So
I'm glad you said that. I had actually written about that I wanted to talk about that 25-year gap and how you were talking about procrastination and yeah, no, because it's so big because so many people sit on their dreams. And that's why I love that you're mentoring people right now to be able to, take that dream and make it real.
oh yeah, because I find all the time I'm always working with people. I love working with books, of course, and people who are writing. And we always find out, I call it writer's dysmorphia. We hear a lot about body dysmorphia, where we think we're really fat, but we're actually not that fat, or even the
Mhm,
opposite.
mhm.
But people have writings that they're just not counting. Like they'll say to me shyly, well, I did have this one idea. and I'll say, what is it? And then I'll say, that's it. That's the book. And then we map it out. We build a book plan. They leave, they have a map, they fill it in, and they have a book.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. You had this defining question in your life that was asked of you that I think was during that time that made you start creating more books. And it was, when are you going to share your stories and write your books?
Yes, this was after I'd published the poster, How to Be an Artist. And this editor came to my magic cottage in San Francisco, which I still have here, and said, when are you going to write your books? I almost pushed her down to get her out of the garden. And I went in my cottage and lit 200 candles. And then I wrote that book in 2 weeks. And it was crooked and strange looking, and I couldn't imagine that anyone would want to read it. Once again, fear and resistance,
Right.
you know, and we have these inner critics. Who's going to care about this? Who's going to read this? I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. These are the kinds of thoughts that we can have that can stop us. And I find people all the time, for decades, they've had these great ideas inside drawers, inside computers, inside their heads.
And I think you said, and I wrote it down here, that your dream never died. It was just waiting for you to stop saying how and start saying now.
Oh, that's so good. Thank you for that. And I want to add that David, my marvelous husband, David, who has so many incredibly profound teachings, just shared a new one with me that I want to give to all of us now, because it's so good.
Yes, please.
We often stop ourselves with the how, you know, how, you know, I don't have money. I don't have time. I don't have the resources. How. It's like a car alarm, you know.
That's what
so David realized, okay, we just need to move the W. So the W at the end of how goes to before the H. So it says who. Who can help me? Who knows more than me? Who, which also can be your intuition. Who can I ask? I can ask my intuition. So move the W. Isn't that great?
I love that. And I'm like, and you're saying, and in the intuition, it's just like ding, ding, ding. They're all, I get that feeling. It's all so simple. And I don't want to diminish anybody's like challenge or struggle, but I remember talking to someone on a walk here in Los Angeles. I was taking a hike, and there's this woman that works with, she's a nurse, or a hospice nurse. Anyway, she shared with me as someone was passing that as he was, this big smile came over his face, and he had said, it was all so simple. And
I love that. And now I love that. Thank you. And you're reminding me of one time I was finishing a book, and I was on a book deadline, and I was really stressed and crabby, and I was supposed to turn things in the next day. And I just sat and did this piece of art that said, it's all about the courage to let loose the wonders inside of us. And I did that, and I thought, that's the whole message right there. And I'm going out for a walk because I need a change of energy. So I'm walking, and here I see coming down the hill on these steps is a man carrying an artist's easel and wearing a beret. And I thought, who is this? You know, I have to find out who this is. And so I said, what are you doing? And he literally said, I've discovered that it's all about the courage to let loose the wonders inside of us. So you can just imagine, and you just reminded me of, I think I reminded myself when I said the car alarm. I specifically, when I found out about you, I thought, this is something I have to tell Sherry when we meet. Which was some years ago. I was hearing a car alarm frequently in the neighborhood outside, and it was extremely annoying, and it was loud. And this one day I heard it. Suddenly I heard what it was actually saying. And I'm now going to replicate the car alarm. Are you ready?
Yes.
Joy, 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 joy. All joy.
Oh, I am never going to hear a car alarm the same way now.
You can't hear a car alarm the same. Don't you love that?
There are signs and magic and miracles and beauty everywhere. There really is. And I know that there are people that might be hearing and being like, well, yeah, you don't know what I'm going through, or yeah, you know.
Yeah, and let's just say, I mean, I wrote about this in the new book, the new anniversary edition, but my beautiful fiance John, who I was with for 4 years, who we finished a book together called Succulent Wild Love, suddenly had a stomach ache, and then the next thing we knew, he was stage 4 inoperable cancer, and needed me to take care of him, which I did, and then he died in my arms 9 months later. And so I'm saying the joy is there too. And this is what, and of course, I was deeply grieving and I was deeply grieving, and then I added wildly living, because I realized they go together like bird wings. I mean, this is how joy and sadness are really best friends. And we think they're in opposition to each other, but they're not. So, you know, I've been through so much adversity. I've had so much success. I am a constantly alchemizing person, and I really welcome and invite everyone to join me, because, and this is how you live, Sherry. And I'm so grateful that you have the Joy Spot and that you are living this Joy Spot life, which includes the all of the all.
Well, thank you. I'm going to get emotional because it has been, as you said, work, and there has been the challenges. By the way, my fiance's name is John. But what your work and who you are and how you show up in the world and how you reflect the core of who we really are helped to remind me at that young age, when I had been going through all of that, of who I really was. And all I needed to do was step into her and be her.
Oh, and thank you for doing that transformational work and continuing to do it and showing up fully expressed and embodied and being that beacon for people, Sherry. You know?
Thank you. And I'm gonna I keep saying I'm gonna end this, and then I have like 12 other things I want to say. But I'm gonna ask you my final question. I'm gonna read from here, and then we're gonna talk. I'm gonna put the links up for all of your programs. But I just want to read this one last paragraph from Succulent Wild Woman. Don't forget, there's a 25th anniversary that is released with 4 new chapters. So make sure you grab that. But it says, succulent wild women are all around you. Look for the bright eyes, the ready smile, and unusual clothes. Or perhaps it's a more shy, succulent wild woman who dresses and appears more quiet. And then you get close enough to bask in her succulent glow. There are so many fabulous wild women. And then you go on to list some of your faves and for us to find our own. And you have been mine, and I have become mine.
Oh.
So,
yay!
And for those of you in the chats that are still here, let us know. Let's throw some love beams on SARK. Let her know how her work has impacted you. And while you're all doing that, I'm going to ask you this question, which I ask everybody, one of my guests, which is, if you were given a microphone and you had the entire world listening for 30 seconds, I know, what message would you want the world to know?
Oh, yes. Well, to empower and activate your intuition, to have a feelings care system, and to be able to redirect the energies of inner critics to more nourishing dialogue. If everyone were doing that, and that is what I wish to have in schools, I wish to see it in Congress, that comprehensive, authentic, inspiring you will be so supported. And as you said the best quote, if you're ready to make your dream life become your real life. And thank you for doing that. And thank you for giving me an opportunity to share how I am able to mentor people to do that too. Oh, and I have this extra one more thing, because if you haven't seen this, so here's how our mind might be sometimes when we're scared and resistant. And I just want to offer you a visual for how your mind can actually be. And it can be so big, it can be so expansive, wherever you are now, you can have a different experience that is expansive. I always say it's all about the color and movement. And so to everyone, to give yourself. And I see all your wonderful comments.
Mhm.
Yes, believe in yourself and love every human.
Yes,
This person will
indeed.
never hear a car alarm the same way.
Yes. I'm going to be putting the link to SARK's book in there, as well as her mentoring. I love that. And everything else, goodness and beauty and magic and miracles. Thank you, SARK, for gifting me with you today, for gifting all of us with your work. And for all of you who are tuning in, thank you for your time. This will all be on replay, so you'll be able to grab it. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.